I'm showing different uses for a borescope. Hola! I'm Mike, the Backyard Mechanic, and this is Betty Beatty. Big changes for me and the channel, no joke. I'll explain later. If you're like me, you don't have a borescope because you figure its only use is to inspect a piston cylinder through the spark plug hole, and it certainly does that. I'm able to inspect this cylinder in the Mustang. Always remember to blow the dirt out of the spark plug well before removing them. This is the Depstech DS560 triple lens borescope. It has 3 lenses, 1 in the front and 2 on the sides, all 1080p HD. More details later. The side cameras come in very handy. You can get an endoscope into some pretty tight places, but once it's in there, the ability to manipulate its orientation is greatly reduced. Using one of the side cameras, I can get an angle inside the cylinder to see the valves. Man, the cylinder walls look good, but my valves really need to brush their teeth. You can also do a split screen and see 2 views at once. Before continuing, I'd like to explain the difference between a borescope and an endoscope. On Amazon, these are often called endoscopes, but they're not. Borescopes are less flexible, they cost less, they offer a better field of view, and they are used much more widely across different industries. Endoscopes are more flexible, they cost more, and they're used most commonly in medicine and veterinary care. If this was about endoscopes, it would be a very different and quite personal video. But let's continue. So that's what you know a borescope can do. What are some other uses? I divided the uses into home and cars. I also have 2 crazy bonuses at the end. We've seen number 1. Let's continue with uses specific to cars. Typically, to check the thickness of your brake rotor pads, you need to take the wheel off to see. If you have the right rims, you can use the borescope set to side camera view and just slide it behind the caliper. The AC evaporator in most cars is behind the dashboard, and there are baffles that open and close to block or let in a certain amount of cold air. If you suspect these baffles aren't working, you can stick the scope in the middle vents and check their operation. I did this in a previous video. I never figured out what that thing is. Golf tee? That would be a hard shot. This tip only works in certain circumstances. When I was working on installing the Mustang headers, the exhaust was off the car and I had access to the catalytic converters. I was able to inspect both, and they received a clean bill of health. It only makes sense to inspect the engine side of the cats. The rear of the cats will almost always be clean. It's the front side that gets clogged, which is why this tip is circumstantial. If a car sits for more than several months, the gas will go bad and should be removed. A friend of mine had to siphon the gas out of a sitting car and his boat.
You're interrupting.
We could not get the siphon down the filler tube of the boat and had to remove the gas by removing the fuel line and siphoning through that. For the car, we did manage to get a small hose down the filler tube, but it was quite difficult. Cars have a one-way check valve that allows gas to enter the gas tank during fueling, but prevents reverse flow when the tank approaches full. This check valve also helps prevent gas from dumping out in an accident, and it can also prevent or hinder a siphon hose. How do you know? By shoving this down the filler tube, that's how. I tried on the Mustang, but it has a capless fuel system. You have to push out 2 tabs on the left and right side to unlock the mini cap. A gas can spout might do this, but you might damage it and trigger a check engine light. If you were to run out of gas and needed to use a gas can, the proper way to get gas in is with a fuel filler funnel, like this, that I don't have. So let's use the Pilot. The Pilot has a traditional fuel cap and a nice long filler tube and does not seem to have a check valve. That odd looking bubble there is gas. The Depstech camera is not only waterproof but gas resistant. I shoved the camera down deeper and it kept working. If you need to siphon gas, I guess the Pilot is a go-to. It has a locking door though. The alternator on the Lexus is notoriously difficult to get to and work on. You almost can't see it. The veil is lifted with a borescope. You can get down in there and see where all the nuts and bolts and plugs are. It doesn't necessarily make it easier to get a wrench on it, but it's a lot less mysterious. Another use case is something like the header bolts on the Mustang. To start the bolt, you have to reach in there with one hand and there's no line of sight to see what you're doing. With the scope and monitor, you can actually see what you're doing. Bonus tip, if you have a magnetic indicator base like this one I got on Amazon for 30 bucks, you can use it to hold the camera in place while you work. How many times have you dropped a bolt or a socket into an engine compartment and it just disappeared? You can poke around with the scope until you find it. Borescopes come with attachments like this magnet. After you find your part, you can use the magnet to grab and retrieve it. I don't quite see the usefulness though. The magnet reflects the light and obscures your ability to see anything. So I bent it out of the way. I think I could have bent it a little closer to the magnet and it would have taken up less space. It's helpful to see it on camera to have a reference to it as well. Dropping stuff down between the grill and radiator is a common problem for me, which I'm recreating here. With the borescope and the magnet, even if the screw gets under the radiator or into a corner, you can see it and retrieve it. Similar to the previous issue, but much more common, is dropping something next to your seat, which can be a nightmare. I'll recreate an event that happened to me recently by dropping this nut down there. To make this extra challenging, this is a non-magnetic stainless steel nut. The other attachment that comes with the Depstech borescope is a hook. I think this could probably be bent and modified too, but I'm leaving it as is for now. I'm able to snake the scope in from the back of the seat and down the side of the tracks, and I found my nut. I tried to hook the nut, but that was pretty difficult. However, I was able to use the hook to drag it to where I could grab my nut with my fingers. I said it like that on purpose. If you have a manual transmission, you'll notice this little access area here. You can get an eye on the hydraulic clutch, and with a little extra effort, you can probably see the condition of your clutch plate. How about the inside of your oil pan? I was hoping to get an eye on the crankshaft and connecting rods, but most oil pans have baffles to prevent oil from sloshing around. However, it's good to be able to look around and ensure there's no sludge built up or any large particles on the bottom of the pan. And this is what the view looks like when you accidentally submerge your camera in oil. While working on my headers, I took time to inspect my exhaust ports. Everything's in order, although they are a bit crusty. Previously hidden places around your car are now visible. How about jamming that scope up the tailpipe?
That's making me uncomfortable, Michael. You could buy me dinner first.
Dinner? Maybe coffee? Seriously, the Mustang is really sensitive. While the use case is a stretch, you could be looking for rust or just to see what the inside of a muffler looks like. Before continuing, the algorithm is just slapping my face and calling me bitch. As you can see by the YouTube analytics chart, my last video took off like a rocket ship, and I made it past the flying shopping cart shooting string beans. However, just as I was about to avoid the giant duck with a person smash on his face, Caterpillar Man opened up a teepee and launched a Cherokee Indian at me to take me down. Todd Beaupre is the product lead for YouTube homepage and recommendations, and I tell you, if I ever got my hands on him, I would, I guess, put him in timeout. So that's him, huh? Totally explains a lot. Borescope uses aren't limited to automotive work. It can help around the house. One of the more common things you might think to use a borescope for is plumbing. Yes, you can use it for the toilet, but if I did that, I would be forced to make jokes, and as you know, this channel is too sophisticated for such crappy humor. I know, I had to squeeze one out so I don't get clogged up. I have quite the potty mouth. Ugh! Those were really bad. Please, please give me the strength to write one joke. Not even a great joke, just a decent joke. Oh, thank you, George. Plunging ahead. I'll instead show the sink drain, although if you've never seen a sink drain, let me pre-warn you, toothpaste gets black and nasty. It's pretty gross. It's worse than my toilet humor. This drain isn't clean, but it's not clogged. What in the hell? That looks like one of those toothpick flossers. I don't use those, so that's been down there since I moved in. That's fun. It's like finding treasure. I have this tiny space to get under the stove, yet stuff gets under there all the time. Sometimes Ratchet will steal my earbuds, play hockey with them, and helpfully hide them under there. With the borescope, you can inspect tight spaces like this. It's kind of hard to find with all the dust bunnies. Oh, there it is. Like the seat nut, you can use the borescope itself to pull your earbud out of hiding. Ratchet likes to help. or he really wants to listen to a podcast. Not only is the Borescope good down low, it's good up high. I can inspect the top of the cupboards. I have my Wi-Fi mesh up there, there's some LED lighting, and there's my keys! I need to stop leaving my things where Ratchet can find them. While we're going up high, gutters. You can use the scope to check if your gutters are clogged with leaves or just if they are in good general condition. These look pretty good. How in the heck did my credit card get up here? Ratchet! HVAC repairmen use a borescope to check your vents and ductwork for rips or blockages. I don't really expect to find anything like that. I'm just doing this for... How did my sunglasses get in here? Ratchet! To show this next usage, I had to machete my way through the tall African grasses while avoiding snakes and lions and... Whoa! A giant Honda Pilot! No, this isn't a snowstorm, this is Drive Shaft's fur, and he loves the attention. That's why he's going away. Ratchet loves the scope. He's not going away. Look at that nose. Oh, he's punching the camera. Maybe he doesn't love it. Hey, he's trying to eat the camera. The Depstech DS560 triple lens borescope has a 1080p HD display, a 5-inch IPS screen, a 16.5 foot cable, 3-hour battery life, and the camera light has 5 levels of adjustment. The camera is not a macro lens, but it gets pretty close. I tested its proximity and sharpness with this book on philosophy. The camera can get about 3/4 of an inch away before the image gets blurry. Buy this using the link in the description, which includes a discount. 100% of the proceeds go towards Ratchet getting his own earbuds, and sunglasses, and an American Express card. The magnetic base I used is down there too. Exciting news for me and the channel. I've bought a 3-car garage with an attached house. I close on that soon, so not only do I have to move all my stuff, I have to prepare the new garage and the new studio. This is all going to change. Well, I'll keep some things. I'll keep this lamp. I love lamp. I'm investigating starting a new channel soon where I show the work done on the property. I'd love to keep it simple and use this channel also for DIY things, but apparently that confuses the algorithm. Not to mention triggers a temper tantrum from Todd Beaupre. What do you think? New channel or do the videos right here? Leave a comment. Todd says it's a car channel and my fans don't want to see me insulating a garage or building storage bins, blah blah. But my video where I build a microphone stand has more views than my best video determining used car reliability. Either that or it's because that microphone stand looked like a noose and my fans are demented. Speaking of fans, I have one online. Hey fan, did you like the video?
Dude, I've seen parts of your car now that I never want to see again.
Thanks, fan. If you are interested in a borescope, you'll be interested in how to do an oil change yourself. And the nightmare stories when you don't. Nightmare on Car Channel. How do you like that, Todd? Fuel filler funnel, fuel filler funnel, fuel filler funnel,